Welcome to a new segment we like to call Rank 'em, where our reporters take on the hottest takes in sports, fight over how to power rank them, and try to come to some kind of agreement. So this week we are focusing on college football, and who better to have on than USA Today Sports' very own college gurus, Paul Myerberg and Dan Wolken. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, great to be here.
So here's how it's going to work. So one of you will provide your top 5 rankings on a certain topic, and after that we'll allow the other person to critique that ranking, for better or worse. The more disagreement, the better, I always say. So this first ranking is going to be for you, Dan. Year in, year out, we always know the Bamas, the Clemsons, the Ohio States are always typically going to be in contention for national titles. So I want you to give me your top 5 dark horses heading into this year.
Sure, no problem. I'll start with number 5, TCU. The Big 12 seems pretty wide open to me after Oklahoma. I think Gary Patterson knows that they weren't very good on defense last year. They've changed some personnel, brought in some transfers. Maybe they can get back into that upper echelon of the Big 12. Number 4, Louisiana-Lafayette. Maybe not a true dark horse in terms of national profile because they are going to start the year ranked. But you know, Levi Lewis, their quarterback, 24-4 as a starter. He's coming back for his 5th year. They can win that opener at Texas. I think they're set up to maybe go undefeated, get close to that top 10 type territory. Number 3, Washington. I don't really know exactly what this team is going to be. They only played 4 games last year under Jimmy Lake. A little bit of a mystery team, but they do have 5 returning starters on their offensive line. And they have a quarterback who's a freshman by the name of Heward, who should ring a bell for college football fans. Interesting 5-star type prospect. So very interested to see Washington. Number 2, Penn State. Not a lot of people talking about Penn State this year. They had an awful COVID year last year. Started 0-5. They kind of abandoned what they were doing offensively. They brought in Mike Yurcich. Last year they turned it over a lot offensively. I'm counting on Sean Clifford to have kind of a bounce back year. And then number 1 in my dark horses is Ole Miss. The SEC does not have a lot of marquee quarterbacks this year, but Ole Miss does. And Matt Corral, who's kind of a gunslinger style quarterback. If they get any production at all from their defense, they're going to be a handful in the SEC.
Okay, so that's a solid ranking. Paul, how do you assess Dan's rankings, and is there anything you'd change out of that?
No, I like that you included Penn State, Dan. I think a lot of people are forgetting about the Nittany Lions because the way they finished last season, and finishing below 500 in a pandemic year is disappointing, but I don't really know what you make of it overall. I guess it depends how we define a dark horse. Like Louisiana is going to be a hell of a team, and they're going to push a lot of people around, but they could go 14-0 or 13-0, beat everybody by 20, and they're still not going to make the playoff. But yeah, they're good enough to get there. I just don't know if they're going to ever going to be a group of 5 team in the current format is going to get a chance to play in the top 4.
What's a conversation about college football if we don't try predicting who's going to win the Heisman before a single game is even played? So give me your top 5 candidates who you think is going to be winning that trophy.
Yeah, number 5 is Breece Hall. He's a running back from Iowa State. Like, if we're going to do a 1 to X list, your last guy has to be some sort of dark horse. The chance of Breece Hall winning the Heisman is just slightly more than Dan and I, just because he actually plays the game. But there's no running back who's going to win the Heisman anymore, certainly not from Iowa State. But he's a fantastic football player, super productive, the best back in the country. And if Iowa State is as good as we think they're going to be, he's got a shot. I mean, maybe a shot is earning a spot as a finalist. I'm going to have a tie for 4th and 3rd, and those are the 2 first-year starters and the 2 power programs in the country. That's Bryce Young at Alabama, DJ Uiagalelei at Clemson. We don't know a whole lot about these guys except they're super talented. We saw DJ play twice last year. His performance against Notre Dame was spectacular, but it's a different animal. And he's stepping into huge shoes left by Trevor Lawrence. Bryce Young has even less experience. We know the talent is there. The surrounding talent is also there, and the expectations are there. So those guys would be just behind the top 2. I have number 2, Sam Howell from North Carolina. He's the face of a program on the rise, and clearly the biggest recruiting win yet for Matt Brown. He's had a bunch of them. And number 1, Spencer Rattler for Oklahoma. I don't want to overthink it. You go back in the history of OU football under Lincoln Riley, if you're a starting quarterback and you're experienced, you're either going to Manhattan as a finalist or you're going to win the whole damn thing. So Rattler is in his 2nd year as a starter. I don't think he's going to buck tradition. I think he's going to win the whole thing.
Dan, do you see anything wrong here?
Well, I think Paul's pegged it in terms of this is now pretty much a quarterback award. obviously you've got new quarterbacks at Ohio State, at Alabama, at Clemson. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there. But yeah, I think for sure you have to put Spencer Rattler number one on that list because of the track record at Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley of getting those guys to play extremely well and to be productive enough, put up the stats and win enough to be in the Heisman chase.
Hey, well, thank you guys so much for playing Ranko. We hope you enjoyed it. I had fun, and I hope some of these come to fruition for you guys, for both your sakes. Hey, sports fans, if you want to watch more sports seriously, be sure to check out these clips right here. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel to see all the great content from us here at USA Today Sports.